I've eaten still. Listening while at the gym, big up yourself. Appreciate that. Hey, my guys here. I stop. Everyone, got someone famous, man. Stop. We got someone famous, man. This we're just mere mortals. Hey, what you saying?
I don't know why you.
Wait,
Honestly, you said that. I was like, he's not talking about me, but
I'm
anyway.
trying to be like you, man. Listen, I ain't had no conversations with Kevin Betsy and Mika Berra. Thanks for blessing us with your presence, man. You know, David Ornstein's power and whatnot. We're just some humble football fans, man. We appreciate that you can walk among us commoners every now and again.
You need to stop with that intro every time. I hope you're doing well though.
I'm doing well, my guy,
Yeah.
man. He said,
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. Hopefully, I'm all right on with my answers and stuff today. Yeah, so looking forward to it.
bro, and with that, let's get the timestamp in. You came through at 42:50. So yeah, man. Wait, people get some questions in. I don't know where to start, honestly. The first I'm gonna ask is let's just get into it. Are you confident about Arsenal getting top four?
I was optimistic before Monday. Um, that optimism has probably dropped a little bit. I would say I'm not in the panic mode that everyone seemed to be in on Monday night and Tuesday morning, just because of the fact that there is still that game in hand. I know it doesn't mean
Ooh.
3 points, but it's there. So I'm still say semi-optimistic, but there is obviously a bit of realism in that Arsenal do still have to play Chelsea, Tottenham, and Man United. That those Chelsea and United games especially would be quite a big test with them coming Wednesday night and then Saturday lunchtime. So it's a big one, but slight optimism still.
What do you make of obviously the young lads that have to come in, specifically Lokonga and Tavares? Obviously, they've both had good and bad moments. You know, Lokonga's had a point in the season where it sounds like a long time away, but you know, people were saying he looks like our best signing that we've made in the summer. Now, for me, I think he's a bit struggled with the cultural aspect, with the fact that games in any bit of the country is going to be quite crazy, probably in terms of needing to take less touches. Now, Tavares away from home is a flight risk. They might get opportunities. Where you at with that? Because there's a lot of talk. Or as much as I would rather them to get opportunities, I could understand if Arteta was to go. Do you know what? I might, it depending on what's going on, I might put Saka there, or I might put Cedric there, or where midfield's concerned, I might just go with El Nene. He might give me 5s out of 10 in the next remaining games, while the others are volatile. Where you at on relying on them now and things like that?
Yeah, I'd say I'm more comfortable with Lakonga. Like you said, he has had his kind of moments where you just think, yeah, you're definitely not too young. Obviously, he was Anderlecht captain, but
Hey,
you
so
can
your
see,
times for them as well.
yeah, you can see there's definitely places where he needs to develop. I think we've spoken about it before in here in terms of the way he receives the ball. Sometimes he can kind of put himself on the back foot before he's even got the ball.
Mm.
Um, so little things like that you can see probably need fine tuning. But then you've got the flip side of that where I think it's the Newcastle game at home where he was Arsenal's top chance creator, playing as a six. And I think you kind of need that balance in there. But I'd say I'm definitely probably more comfortable with him stepping in into midfield and say Tavares stepping in at left back. And that's not to kind of bash Tavares because, as everyone knows, when Tierney was injured in I think it was October, November time,
He
he
came
actually
in.
did play quite well.
Some fans were saying he's our best left back, bro.
I just think again it's about finding, I guess, the balance of the squad as well. So I think when you look at say Monday night, you've got Tavares and Cedric playing fullback. They're both probably more attacking players than defensive
Build up
players.
play, innit?
Yeah, so you probably just need to think more about who you put at right back, I guess, when you do start Tavares, so you can give him just a bit more security. But yeah, I think sorry. Um, I think Lakonga's probably the one that I'm more confident in. Wait. What's pause for? What did I say?
I just had to just disclaimers. The Tavares is something about bashing Tavares. I just had to make
Oh
sure.
shit!
Look, I had to make sure that I saved.
My bad.
It's
Pause.
cool. I saved us. It's cool. I thought we had our
Sorry.
professional cap on. It was mad childish. But what was I gonna say? Let me on the left back thing. Yeah, who is the one for you? Because obviously there's talk of certain fans were screaming, is it shifting to a back three? You get someone else in there, go with Saka, maybe even staying with a back three with Tavares, depending on what happens with right back, Cedric going over there, the Saka shouts, where you at? If you're the manager tomorrow, boom, who's playing? What happens?
I get the back three shouts. I get it 100%. I'm just not sure about taking away attacking threats when there are quite few of those already. It's difficult. It is actually a proper head
Happy we're
scratcher.
not Mikel, innit?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Good luck to him tomorrow. But I think I may stick with the back four for this weekend. I feel like the back three probably works better if you feel like you're not going to be in total control of the game. So if say Chelsea away, he actually did it at Chelsea away back end of last season.
He's
And
been doing
Saka
it
was
when we're
actually
seeing out games as well, man, with Rob Holding and that. So there's an element of it.
Yeah, and sorry.
Take your time,
when he did it at Chelsea last season, Saka was actually playing right wing back. I don't know if people remember that. But yeah, I feel the main thing though is even if it is a back three, it can't be rigid. It has to be able to change into a four at times. You can't just have that set I guess five even
Facts.
and have like everyone know that you're going to go through the wide areas. You have to have people who are able to play through the middle as well.
Facts.
So I feel for games where they're expected to say dominate, four is probably needed, especially if you're playing Lokonga in that deeper role. I just feel like he'd have more kind of avenues. But then when you go into those more difficult games, I could see a three.
It's like you said there, it's like it depends how you play a free. Like for obvious reasons, we're not City, but certain principles are going to remain in City's game regardless of what they do. So it's an interesting one. I just think because of where we're at the squad and the reset, I understand it and I'm somewhat with it, but it's like our players, do we have the IQ to be able to flip to that? And again, we kind of kill any build-up play we have. I do look at some concerning areas, like you said, not the man said Pogba, Lokonga in that lone six. I wish it was Tavares kind of in a flat four. It's just I'm looking at someone like Xhaka to help him. Like I look at the Selhurst Park game. Again, I just think I'm not criticizing Arteta because it is what it is, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. Maybe Xhaka could have played the more withdrawn role he was playing previously. Talk Tavares through the game or kind of enhance Tavares, let him go a bit forward, and we kind of cover it with that because at the time we did have Partey and Xhaka on the field, which is true. And you're right, man. We don't really have outlets or attacking outlets or any threats. So when you move Saka, it can present opportunities to other people, but it could be an issue. Where are you at with Lacazette? Because I mean, we can talk about pressing and working hard and things like that. It's getting quite scary, the amount of he's just never in the box, and when he is, it's just there's nothing going on, is there really? Where you at with the strikers?
Yeah, I've actually spent this morning looking through some clips and stuff, prepping for something for next week. Wow. But I think the main thing that I'm seeing is just, yes, as you mentioned, like he's hardly ever in the box, but also when he actually does get into those areas, it's almost like someone who's trying too hard to impress. So the Villa game, for instance, when I think Arsenal had the ball for like a minute and a half and then they broke forward. Lacazette's on the edge of the box and Odegaard's to his right. Everyone in the ground could see the passes on that he shoots. And I think it's just moments like that where you see maybe not that, I'm not sure how to word it properly, but I'd say if he had scored, say, 3 in his last 4 before that, I reckon he makes the pass. I think you've just got to simplify it a bit more. And when you do look at, I guess, the more physical side of things, where he is struggling, especially in second halves, to keep up with attacks, then you can't say that shouts for, say, Martinelli to go up top are unreasonable. The main thing is just can Martinelli, for instance, drop into that pocket and just be someone to bounce off a bit in the same kind of vein. I'm not sure, but he needs to be tested at that anyway. So yeah, it is quite concerning going into the last 6 weeks of the season. Oh yeah, now. And yeah, I'd say at some point I'd like to see a different kind of picture up top to see what is the future as well of that kind of position.
It's a techie one because obviously we've got 9 games left, and I'm all for giving you footballers a chance. But as you've heard with my comments with Cedric, with El Nene, it's a bit risk averse. So as crazy as it is, and he hasn't got a leg to stand on, and in recent weeks we've been here with Lacazette, I could understand why he plays. I just feel, like you said, it's a glimpse into the future. We can't talk about Martinelli being able to play up front if we never give him a chance. And I like pace, especially if we've got these questions marks over defense. Obviously, we need to be able to defend, but attack's a form of defense. So maybe Martinelli up front and what he gives you, Saka on the left or right, whether it's Smith Rowe or Pepe, we could overcompensate within those areas. Now that would probably present another issue. I would say with Lacazette, I've said on the best of days, I got a lot of heat for it. I think the creative outlets that people claim he has, I think it's overstated. I do think people underappreciate what he does at times, but it's overstated and we overcompensate because he's not really a goal scorer like that. And I think it's too easy to suss us. We're a team that hasn't really, we play through wide areas, like you said. We all come kind of short. And like you saw with Crystal Palace, they kind of sussed that. They played the high line, they backed themselves. Their centre-back walked away with 2 assists, really. So I would like to see us cause more questions. I am with you with the Martinelli up front, exactly, because, you could shift Smith Rowe over there.
One thing I'd say, sorry to cut you.
No, go on.
I would be interested in seeing like a 2-man Lacazette and Martinelli.
But that's why for me, if we're doing that 3 at the back, you might as well 3 at the back sort of thing, or unless we're going to do the Aubameyang sort of the Aubameyang Lacazette sort of role thing, maybe Martinelli could give him the legs, because you see it when Martinelli's played off the left with Lacazette drops, Martinelli kind of stays on the last shoulder. I do think Martinelli's got more link-up play than given credit for. It's just, I understand why Lacazette's there, but he just looks like, I don't like to use this word declining, because declining, you can still offer something. But as you said, he's never been the most blessed athlete, but every year he's lost a yard of pace. For me, it looks like he's struggling. Like after 30 minutes, 60 minutes, he's struggling to get into the box. And as you said, when he's in the box, for me anyways, he's either thinking about it too much, like you said, or for me, he's just snatching at chances, or he doesn't get in there quick enough. And for me, one thing I liked about Lacazette's finishes, if you go through them, he scores some smart finishes. Like there might be 2 men next to him in the box, a split second to shift it onto his left and get the shot away. I think he's losing that sort of pace. And the fact that he's not going to be here next season, we might as well try something, allegedly. But with him being captain, I understand why he plays and whatnot. Where are you at with him getting a new deal then?
Yeah, I feel like it's one that really depends on what type of Europe Arsenal are in. If they do manage to get top 4, then I'd say it's probably more realistic to try and look to that future. If they don't, then I can see maybe like a short-term kind of, maybe like a 1-year kind of deal, just to kind of get Arsenal a bit through that transition period again. Because I feel like, again, even though he has his performances in terms of goal scoring and just striker performance has been on the decline, I do feel like there's still intangibles that he has that is valuable to the squad. And it's not a surprise that a lot of the young players point to him as someone that helps them actually bed into the first team.
Do you think we overcompensate on that? Because if
I don't know,
everybody should look like that.
True.
Everyone should be that. And I just think we have a theme now where that's always said. And also, if I look at it now, Saka, Smith Rowe, Martinelli, you lot should be even, which they are, examples for the younger players. And even someone like Patino, you're an example for the even younger ones. Just to play devil's advocate, mate.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a point, but I'd say even with that, say Saka's 20 years old. Like, I don't know. I feel he can obviously have that responsibility, and I do think he does because one, he leads by example, and two, I think when you see him in games, he's very vocal anyway. So those leaders can come from anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be about your age.
Facts.
But I feel like, especially when you look at the makeup of just the whole squad as a whole, you've already lost. I don't even know how many players it was in the summer and January. Lost count. But
whole football team in its own,
yeah.
in its own entirety, really.
When you look at how bare bones it is now, I feel like, especially if they go into that Europa League where it's Thursday night, Sunday afternoon, you just need to kind of have enough in there, especially in terms of know-how as well, because Lacazette would have experienced things at 30 years old that Emile Smith-Rowe at 21 years old has not even dreamt of in his life.
You don't even know you don't know about it. Yeah,
exactly. Fact. So I feel like that's just an area that's quite important as well.
So you kind of touched on it and you set it up perfectly. Obviously, we talked about Arteta needing to earn his money with the injuries this at this point in the season and whatnot. So, do you think January is a period we're going to look for as where it could have went wrong? You know, because on one hand it was courageous. If we get top four, it was big decisions backed up. Now we're looking at it a bit different. And for me, it's almost like I do think a lot of Arsenal fans were too much in a rush to paint a picture. I feel there's no way you can look at just January and criticize Arteta full-heartedly. We need to get rid of players. Situations needed to be addressed. We did save wages. That being said, you can't bring save wages off the bench when we need goals. We went into the January period and we've left weaker. Now, Aubameyang and the need to score goals is one thing and not bringing in strikers. We know we needed to bring in a midfielder. Other players at other clubs were linked with moves and they held on to them. Chelsea, Juventus are two examples on top of my head. We let Ainsley go. Now, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. Ainsley could go. I didn't have an issue. But with left back and centre mid, I'm speaking about back three. That's Ainsley's bread and butter. He's sitting on the bench in Italy, which, to be fair, is nicer than sitting on the bench in North London in terms of weather. But where do you look at in Jan? Would you say in the same way we look at them lot down the lane? Kulusevski's coming, Bentancur's coming. It's giving them a boost and we're weaker. Do you think we've shot ourselves in the foot? Is this a period where we're looking at and saying what's going on there? Do you think the inexperience of Mikel Arteta maybe being naive with certain players and maybe Edu being naive and or inexperienced and not getting things done, does that make our task harder? Is that a period where we could say kind of self-inflicted?
I think whatever happened after January, it was always going to land at their feet, whether it was blame or credit. And I feel like there was a sense of naivety from my point of view in terms of just, yes, you may not be able to get the best in class in certain areas, which obviously everyone knows they were kind of holding out for the player they felt could 100% add something to this squad. But when you looked at the outgoings especially, I feel like you just needed someone, even if it wasn't an outstanding player, someone who could get through games and just be an experienced head at times. Not someone who's too young where they are in that same kind of stage as, say, Lokonga or Tavares, but just someone who has the know-how of what to do in games. And also, as you mentioned, I feel like Partey, of course, he was on the mend at the time, but when there's, I guess, those trends that have happened over the past kind of year or so, 18 months, you do kind of need to be thinking of, okay, what happens if this happens? So I would say there was a bit of naivety, even though trimming the squad and having every player have some sort of value there is an argument to that side. But especially when you look at the kind of crowded state of the games that are coming up now.
And the caliber of them.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive test for each one of those players that is still in the squad.
What would you put alleged naivety down? Because I just feel, I feel it's more on Edu. I feel Arteta's the manager. Yes, everybody comes in and goes out is a reflection of you. We did agree an half a deal, and for some reason it was sanctioned. It wasn't sanctioned, sorry. But it's just Edu's just since he's come here, I'll give you credit for what you did last summer, but we all know you wasn't the lead head in terms of talent ID. January is where I wanted to see you earn your money. Of course, I don't just want players for the sake of it, but again, you've seen people pull rabbits out the hat, which we didn't. What would you put the naivety down? Is it a lack of experience, specifically with Arteta? Because I mean, you've been at City. Fair enough. We all know City is like Harrods. We're Audi at the moment. Like it's levels in it, but they've had a wealth of options. You've seen how big a season is, why you need a squad. And Arteta makes a big song and dance, rightly so, about everyone needs to keep working. He says it in indirect ways. Even when you think you're not playing, I'm not looking at you, I'm looking. And you've seen people get their chances. Like Cedric has been a nobody in the first team for a while now. He got his first start. So is it necessarily a fact that I'm an inexperienced and naive manager? Because you might not have direct experience of a situation like that, but we've been here before, even in his first season, or half a season, we've been here before. So is it naivety? Because again, I always believe in fixing the roof while the sun's shining. It's like we've just seen the roof and we've just assumed that the sun's going to be there. Like, come on now, get it fixed.
Yeah, I feel like maybe, I'm not sure if naivety is the right word. It might be, but also just, I guess, pre-plan crisis management. Basically, you need
exactly
you need that all the time, and I feel like that's where January was so important for that crisis management. In terms of experience, I'm not sure if inexperience can be used like for that kind of example right now, because as you mentioned, he's had January 2020, summer 2020, January 2021, summer 2021. So there have been enough there's been enough time for those kind of crisis management scenarios to be kind of in place, I feel. It is just a case of, I think, taking that risk was probably one of the biggest risks he could take at that moment, and it could backfire heavily, or it could have paid off very well. At the moment, it's on that knife edge now, where he has to, especially basically every weekend or even midweek, every 3 days now.
You live or die by that, by the result, in it. Facts.
Yeah. So you're seeing just how costly that risk could be right now. And I think hopefully, fingers crossed, it pays off, but there's no guarantees anymore.
I mean, for me, I'm kind of on the fence because I see the reasons. Obviously, no matter how much we think about long term and players of tomorrow, we need to win and get 3 points today. Nobody cares about what Saka, Smith Rowe, and these guys could be tomorrow if every week we're losing and we're flirting with relegation, etc. So I understood it clearly. It's we're going through a reset. What we did in the summer was tying into the January, so we kind of just needed to reset. It's a long termism. I think because Arteta is the guy for Arsenal long term, then there's a bit of luxury at other clubs, rightly or wrongly. You might not be able to get rid of Aubameyang and not knowing you're bringing in a striker. You might not sanction people leaving knowing that you don't have people on. You'd rather, if it's cold, you'd rather have too many jackets than not enough. And I look at our midfield. So I understand with what we're doing in the grand scheme of things, and we're rewriting mistakes that Arteta and Edu have undertaken, and moments like Aubameyang that they've torn up themselves. But then on the other hand, I feel too many fans are just harping on about that. But at the same time, you can't just sit here and criticize the club for not bringing in people. As you know, January is difficult to do business. Players do struggle to adapt. I know there's an example of one. So I'm a bit on the fence. What I would say is that in January, what could have given us a boost, whether that was Aubameyang finding form or bringing in a midfielder or a striker, might come down to haunt us. And it's a big risk. To be fair, these are the players that got us in this top four conversation. Now I'm starting to look at, admittedly, do we have enough to cement the top six? Maybe, but it's very volatile. So I do think regardless, we'll either look back and this will be in the Amazon documentary as great management, or if it doesn't happen, we might say it was naivety from everyone involved. And it's just sad, man, because I mean, do you think we would have been able to skip some processes if we did get Champions League football? Because on one hand, you know, you did hear that Arsenal, we never had targets. We have on one, you know, and on one hand, I would have thought it would give us, okay, we've got fourth now. Let's kind of solidify our position. But at the same time, I'll be lying to you if I didn't think that would give Kroenke, etc., a degree of complacency and say, well, we're there again. So where would it be for you with that? And you know, do we have to start shifting towards focusing on top six, potentially Europa League, as much as it kills me to say that?
Yeah, so I've got about 15 minutes left, by the way,
Go on, man, do your thing,
because
man.
of the press conference. But on that question, I feel like it's almost you see it in a very minor scale with Brooke Norton-Cuffy, who's at Lincoln. So
Having a great
obviously, he only turned 18 in January, and initially the plan was for him to go on
23,
loan next season.
yeah.
But they saw an opportunity to accelerate that process, or progress, I should say, and took the loan to Lincoln, and you've seen he's excelled exceptionally well while he's been there. That's an example of what, I guess, taking that, it's not a risk, but taking that opportunity can do. It can help you, as you said, skip those kind of stages. I feel like
this is a bit like
Arsenal
Maitland-Niles when he went Ipswich, isn't it? Like skipped a couple steps, man.
Yeah, so I feel if Arsenal were to get top four, and I know that, as you mentioned, there were a few conversations about that's Arsenal's ceiling, but I feel if they did get top four, if they do, there's still going to be a place where you're not going to be satisfied with where you are. You're going to have to lift that ceiling anyway. And I think it's quite almost redundant to say, okay, this is our limit. This is the only place we're going to
you can only go down.
try and be. So, and I know you weren't saying Arsenal are only this by saying, do we look at top six? I know you're just doing the devil's advocate thing.
You got it, man.
But I think you can't be looking backwards either in this situation, because that's when I feel like it's almost like the Lacazette thing in terms of overthinking in front of goal. When you're thinking, okay, what if this happens and that happens and that,
nothing happens,
then you just lose sight of what's in front of you. So I think going all in for that top four has to be the objective, even if it does look a bit tougher now that Arsenal lost away at Palace. I feel like you can't just almost
give up.
Yeah, you can't give up and say, "Oh, now we're not going to get it." You have to just. I don't see the point in that, because then, if you think that way, just end the season now.
Exactly. And that's one thing that gives me a boost, bro, because as I said, you know, one luxury, whether people rate individual players or them collectively, you know, they were doing poor at the start of the season. These are the players, with the exception of Aubameyang, you know, that got us in this conversation. So this is what I want to see. I'm hoping that other people stand up to be counted. This is a squad game. You know, some of you, in fact, the vast majority of you, you know, haven't played Champions League football. You know, you've all seen what's written when Arsenal flop. So what would it be like to play Champions League? I'm well aware that a lot of you are not Arsenal fans. Playing in the Champions League is a platform for maybe you lot to go off to other clubs and do other things. So I do think they want it. It's a good look for Arteta. I do think they won't be listening to the noise, because if they listen to the noise at the beginning, we'd be getting relegated. If they listen to the noise now, or like you said, until Monday, or before Monday, it would have been a shoo-in, it really and truly. So that's one thing that gives me confidence. I would say long term with Arsenal, I've got all the confidence in Mikel Arteta. I know he wants to be a winner. I know the club I know he and the players want to be. As you know, it's all about off the field. So I need to see Edu able to do his job, and fundamentally the owner, because I don't know what the owner is going to do. Because as much as I might praise or critique Arteta or Emre or Mislintat or Sanye, and I can't just blame everything for on the Kroenke. It's not that I'm blaming anything. It's just, if you own a company and you've had different guys there and you haven't been performing, then what are you saying, sort of? So it's a bit of a brazy one, man. I know you're pressed for time, yeah. So I want to move on finally to Arsenal versus Brighton, man. What are you saying? I mean, the obvious is we've got a bag of injuries. As you said, we need to get on with it. The world is expecting us to crumble now. Our rivals, if you're Spurs, you're licking your lips. If you're United, you're thinking what you could do. Where are you at with that? Clearly a reaction is required. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, I feel like because it's at the Emirates, I feel a bit more comfortable with it. I feel like there, especially this season, Arsenal, not just Arsenal, but especially the fans that are in the
The fans.
stadium. I don't think this is like an overstated kind of thing, but I do
Tell 'em.
actually feel like they've had a proper impact on what's going on
They haven't.
on the
Arteta said
pitch.
to get that from the start. From the minute Arteta walked in, he said we need to sing from the same hymn sheet, make noise, and all them things there. Facts.
Yeah, so I think that helps, but also the main thing is everything needs to be sharp from minute one. I think that's first 5 minutes you will see what type of game it's going to be.
You might
I
as well
feel.
pretend to be Tavares, bro. I can't lie. I can't lie.
I'm
You
not
might as well
left-footed.
pretend.
I'm not left-footed, but I mean he uses his right foot as well. So
He
maybe
spoke about his right foot and not defending when he said.
maybe I can slip in. But no, I think yeah, first 5 minutes you're going to see what kind of game it is. I just hope that as you mentioned before, the senior players, so Shaka, for instance, are able to take control of situations and guide players that need to be guided through that game. Because as we all know, Graham Potter's a great head coach.
And he's always twerking for Spurs and making things difficult for us. So yeah, it's difficult, bro. He loves twerking.
He has
for
won
Spurs.
at the Emirates before as well. But I'd say
Mr. Mupe lurking as well.
Yeah, I think Arsenal definitely gonna have to be streetwise, but I feel like they're gonna have to take control as early as possible. And it's gonna be, I feel, a performance similar to the one against Leicester a few weeks ago. That's the type of performance that I would hope to see, where they are actually able to control a game for long periods of time. Obviously, there'll be moments where Brighton probably have a good spell, but I feel like that's kind of the not blueprint, but what I would like to see.
It's the principles. You're right, man. You're right. I wanted to obviously. What's your score prediction? And I wanted to ask you. Obviously, you're one of the very few disciples that has never turned on Hossamawa, man. You must have seen the West. We cheering for Owl. We still gonna bang that drum.
I was debating whether to tweet last night because I saw everyone on Twitter was going off. I was actually playing PlayStation. I was playing Pro Clubs, so I wasn't watching the game. But I mean, I might watch some clips. I might.
Hey, we need that in the Athletics, man. I need to see who should Arsenal target. Art de Roché, Fabian Ruiz. We need that propaganda, bro.
But when we were speaking about him before, and it's kind of similar things that Arsenal midfielders have started to do now. When you look at Ødegaard, Smith Rowe, it's the thing where they're able to move with the ball and just be comfortable. That's the main thing. Cultured. Mobility and agility.
It's just cultured.
Like that's the main thing that an Arsenal midfielder needs, in my opinion. Agility and technical proficiency, and then you're set. Of course, then there will be other things that you need to put on top of that in terms of experience and ability to kind of deal with hostile situations and stuff like that. But yeah, in terms of I will be keeping my eyes peeled, whatever happens. And then score prediction. I don't believe Arsenal keep a clean sheet.
Less of that, man. We need that.
Sorry.
We need that. Less of that. But go on. No.
I feel 2-1. Arsenal will go 2-0 up and then concede in the second half. But they'll be able to see it out because Rob Holding will come on. So that's my crystal ball, kind of.
My heart can't take it. I need optimism, man. 2-0 Arsenal. After Crystal Palace, they owe us, man. I'm screaming 2-0. You know what? Life's funny, man. You know what? Tavares, you're going to bag, man. That right foot is there and in. Tavares goal.
Top bins.
Yeah, top bins from Tavares. In fact, you know what? Sorry, Tavares. Lacazette brace, man. 2-0 Arsenal. Lacazette brace. You know, goals are like buses. Hopefully, Lacazette lightning strikes twice, bro. It's crazy, man. Let me let you get out of it, Doc. I know you're going to do the press conference and things. Love for passing through, man.
No worries, no worries. Hopefully, hopefully I was all right with my answers and stuff
Nah,
again.
man, you're always welcome here. They're always on to you when you bring it on. But when you bring it on, I'm like, he talks to Mika Bear. If he ain't got time for me no more, his YouTubers and on Twitch, man. He's a big boy now, man. Like he's grown to death.
I might stream later on. I might stream
Go and follow him on
Spider-Man.
Twitch, by the way, people. I'll drop the link in a second. Make sure you're there.
Yeah, so maybe Spider-Man. We'll see. And yeah, thanks for shouting out the beer stuff as well.
Mine, bro. Make sure you check him
but,
out on The Athletic as well, man. The guy's always making articles in that.
Because he spoke really well, to be fair to him. Like, he's only 19, but he was able to get across like his personality. He's not like, yeah. So I felt, even because I sent it to my mum, and she was like,
mommy, man.
and she was like, she couldn't believe he was only like 19, just the way he kind of put himself across.
But them man have to grow up so fast, man. They have to.
Yeah. But yeah, hopefully see you again soon, and hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday and the weekend as well.